Hello and welcome to Chapter 8, Lesson 5. Today we're going to be talking about simplest form. A fraction is in simplest form when its numerator, which remember that's our top number, the numerator is the top number, and the denominator have no common factors other than 1. Okay, the simplest form of a fraction is equivalent to the fraction. So we talked about equivalent fractions yesterday, so it's worth the same amount, but it's just different numbers. We cut it into less pieces, right? So an example of this would be like, okay, let's say I cut this pizza into 4 equal pieces and I'm going to eat 2 of them. Well, finding simplest form is, hey, I noticed 2 and 4 have a common factor of 2. So I can divide both 2 and 4 by the number 2. If I cannot divide it by the same thing, I cannot find the simplest form. Right? I can't divide the denominator by 3 and the numerator by 2. They have to be the same number. Okay, so if I divide 2 by 2, I'd get 1. 4 by 2, I would get 2. So 1 and 2, can I make those any smaller? Well, we got a 1, right? So whenever we've got a 1, we know that that is in simplest form. I cannot make it any smaller, right? So let's do some examples. All right, so example 1 here says there are 12 ingredients in a bread recipe. Esteban needs to buy 8 out of 12 or 8/12 of the ingredients. Please write 8/12 in simplest form. So to write a fraction in simplest form, we need to divide both the numerator and denominator. Notice dividing. Yesterday we were dealing a lot with multiplying, but when we're finding simplest form, we're always going to be dividing by the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is the greatest of the common factors of 2 or more numbers. Right, so here's what we can do. Factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. Factors of 12 are, this is just numbers that multiply together, right? The numbers that multiply together to make 8 are 8 times 1 and 2 times 4. So that's where we got our 1, 2, 4, and 8. Factors of 12 are 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. So now if we look, what are the common factors? What factors do they share? Share a 1, right? They both have a 1. They both have a 2. Okay, both have a 2. And they both have a 4. So what is the greatest common factor? The biggest one that we wrote down of common factors, that's 4. So that tells us we need to divide 8/12 by 4 over 4. Okay, so 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So the simplest, the numbers 2 and 3 have no common factors, and so other than 1, so we know that our answer is in simplest form. And 2, we've talked about prime numbers. 2 and 3 are both prime. So we know we cannot make our fraction any smaller. So 2/3 is in simplest form. To write a fraction in simplest form, you can also divide by just common factors. Doesn't always have to be the biggest one. That'll get you to the bottom the fastest, right? To simplest form the quickest. But it's not going to always be what you see first. So here we have 6/8, and we need to write it in simplest form. So we have 6/8. I know that 6 and 8 are both divisible, which means they can both be divided by 2. So if I do 6 divided by 2, I will get 3. If I do 8 divided by 2, I would get 4. Right? So 6/8, and I know that 3 is prime. Once we hit a prime number, we know we're done. We're like, that's the brakes. So 3 is prime, so I know that 6/8 simplifies to 3/4, and that is in simplest form. So a newborn koala is 3/4 of an inch long. Not even 1 whole inch long. That's a pretty tiny little baby, isn't it? Okay, here we go. Write each fraction in simplest form. If it is in simplest form, write simplest form. So I see that 2 and 4 can both be divided by 2. So I'm going to do that. Divide by 2, divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 1 over 2 is going to be my simplest form. 6/10, if I divide, I see that 2 can go into 6 and 10. So I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2, and get 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now, 3 and 5 are both prime, so I know that's going to be simplest form. 3/5. Okay? Now I have 5 and 6. Now I look at 5 and I know it's prime because I can only get to 5 by multiplying 1 by 5. So this is in simplest form. Simplest form. 4/12. Ready? I'm going to show you kind of a different step. So I see they are both divisible by 2. So then 4 divided by 2 is 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 2/6. But I still see I can divide them by 2 again. So if I divide by 2, divide by 2, I would get 1/3. Now I have prime numbers. So now I know I am done. 1/3 is in simplest form. So when I saw 4/12, I could have maybe also seen that they are both divisible by 4. So I could divide my numerator by 4 and my denominator by 4, and that would get me to 1/3 in one step, as opposed to 2 steps when we divided it by 2 and then divided by 2 again. But in the end, we both get to the same answer, so it's not a big deal if you see 2 and 2, or if you see 4. It's fine. We still get to the same answer. Okay, here I'm on page 516. I just wanted to do a couple more practice problems with you here. Okay, 5/10. Look at divide by 5, divide by 5, and I would get to 1/2. Okay, what about 70 hundredths? Divide by 10, divide by 10, and I would get 7/10. Is that simplest form? Yep. What about 2/5? 5 is prime, right? So that's already in the simplest form. Now, are you always going to get down to a prime number and then you know you're in simplest form? No, not always. Let me see if I can think of a quick example where you wouldn't be in the simplest form. Like, let's pick 12 on the bottom and, 12 on the bottom. And then let's pick 6, 4. 12 is not a good one because 12 is divisible by everything. Let's pick 21. Okay, let's do like 21/6. Because 21, that's going to be divided by 3. Ugh! You guys, I'm really trying to think of one that's not prime over prime. 21 over 16. Could have done 8 too, I suppose, because forward. Okay, 8. Let's do 8 21s. So 8's factors are 1, 2, 4, and 8. 21's factors are 1, 3, 7, and 21. Do they share any common factors besides 1? No. So 8 21s is simplified. And they're not prime numbers. They both could be simplified, but they don't have anything in common. So 8 21s is simplified. Done. Okay? So not always is it, it's a prime number. If they don't share any common factors, you just know it's simplified. Okay, last question here. I want to do one problem where we are doing an actual word problem. Latia had 12 marbles. After she gave 2 marbles to Amelia, now she has 10/12 of her marbles left. right? She had 12 out of 12 of her marbles. She gave 2 away. So now she has 10 out of her original 12 marbles. What fraction of the marbles did Latia give away? Write it in simplest form. So we're just trying to write, what fraction of marbles did she give away? So she has 10 twelfths. That means she gave away 2 twelfths. Look at that tricky wording, you guys. I thought we were just supposed to write 10 twelfths as the simplest form, but they are writing this tricky. Okay, so I need to write 2 twelfths. That's how much she gave away. So I see that I can divide both the numerator and denominator by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So she gave away 1/6 of her marbles. And that's it. Okay, so that's all I have for you for today. Thanks for watching, and please always make sure you have, and if you have any questions, you ask for help. I am always here to help. Have a great day, and we'll see you later.